Hi everyone. Today's story is coming from Bob Hartmann's New Testament Tales, the unauthorized version. And this story is the brothers' version, and it's based on the story of the wedding at Cana. Gehazi's Aunt Miriam grabbed his face with her two pudgy hands and placed her equally pudgy lips on his forehead. "Your sister is such a beautiful bride," she beamed. "You should be so proud. And what a handsome young man you are." The kiss left two wet spots. It was all he could do to keep himself from wiping them away. "Thanks, Aunt," he said with about as much enthusiasm as he could muster. Which wasn't much enthusiasm, to be honest, seeing as she was probably the 20th aunt who'd done this same thing. And then one of the servants asked her if she wanted some wine. And she said, "Yes, of course, how delightful." And Gehazi was mercifully left on his own again. Weddings. For a boy with 5 big sisters and only 2 of them married, weddings were torture. Torture then, torture now, torture yet to come. The only thing that made this particular wedding bearable was that Anna, the bride, was his favourite sister, and Adam, the bridegroom, was just about the nicest guy he'd ever met. His other sister's husband hardly knew he existed, but Adam treated it almost as though he was one of his own brothers, which meant a lot to a boy who had no brothers of his own. So Gehazi stood there and smiled and put up with the kisses and the head patting and the relatives who couldn't even remember his name. "Psst," came a whisper from the other side of the doorway. "Over here." And then it was his cousin Shem. There was his cousin Shem. "Go away," whispered Gehazi. "I'm busy. I don't want to get into any trouble." Shem crept through the doorway. The whisper got louder. "Who said anything about getting into any trouble?" Gehazi rolled his eyes. "You're here. There'll be trouble. There always is." Shem sniggered. "Yeah, but you gotta admit it. I always have fun. Like when I set the donkey loose at my sister's wedding." Gehazi grinned. "Yeah, it was pretty good when it wandered into the reception and knocked over the pudding." "On Uncle Ezra," Shem chuckled. "Classic." "But you hate your sister," Gehazi reminded him. "Hate?" Shem chuckled again. "No, I don't. I just think she's stuck up and knows it all and is her daddy's little princess and looks like a pig. But I don't hate her." "Well, I like my sister," said Gehazi, "and I don't want to spoil her wedding. So no trouble, okay?" "No trouble," Shem shrugged. "But that doesn't mean we can't sneak out the back for a while and find something more interesting to do." "Oh, I don't know," Gehazi hesitated. And then another aunt, Aunt Agatha, grabbed his face. Gehazi held his breath. Shem cringed. And when another fat slobbery kiss had ended, Aunt Agatha looked at Shem and shook her finger in his direction. "Don't think you'll be getting one of those," she grunted. "Not after that prank you played at your uncle's funeral." Then she stamped away, and Gehazi exhaled at last. "Terrible breath," noted Shem. "Like a rotting corpse," agreed Gehazi. "So what happened at the funeral?" Shem smiled. "You remember that little high-pitched sneezy sound that Uncle Judah used to make? Well, at the funeral, I hid behind the coffin, and when Aunt Death Breath walked by, I sort of did an impression of that." "And?" asked Gehazi. and she nearly died too. Shem grinned. I can't help it if people don't have a sense of humour. That's what I mean, Gehazi sighed. You think funny, everyone else thinks trouble. Oh, come on, Shem pleaded. Look, Aunt Hilda's coming this way. She's got that thing in her face. That thing looks like a camel. You don't really want that thing touching you, do you? Point taken, Gehazi nodded, and the two of them took off into the direction of the kitchen. Not much going on back here, observed Gehazi, as several servants scurried by them. Not much that's interesting anyhow, Shem sighed. And then he peeped round the corner into a storage area, and his eyes lit up. You've got to see this melon, he grinned. There are plenty of melons out there on the tables, said Gehazi, looking around. He was starting to get a little nervous. Not like this melon, said Shem, steering his cousin around the corner and pointing up to a shelf. Look! So Gehazi looked, and when he did, he couldn't help but laugh. Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? Laughed Shem as well. Just looks like the head of our dear departed Uncle Judah. I'm going to climb up there and grab that melon and set it on Aunt Deathbreast's table when she isn't looking. Oh, I don't know, Gehazi hesitated. I told you I don't want to spoil anything. It won't spoil anything, Shem argued. Come on, give me a boost. Gehazi was still hesitant. I just think that maybe... All right then, grunted Shem. I'll do it myself. And he stepped up onto the edge of a tall jar of wine. Careful, warned Gehazi. It'll be fine, Shem smiled, reaching for the melon. But as he grabbed for the melon, he lost his balance, and the jar tipped. And as it fell, it tipped into another jar, which tipped into another jar. And by the time Shem hit the floor, it was covered in wine. Oh, I didn't expect that, said Shem, clutching the melon. Oh, and I think I can hear my mum calling, see you, cuz. And off he dashed out of the storage area, leaving Gehazi alone with a pile of broken jars and a pool of wine. He wasn't alone for long, though. A servant rounded the corner, and when he saw the mess, he cried, What have you done? Nothing, Gehazi pleaded. Nothing, it wasn't me. Well, it was someone, said the servant. And you're the only one standing there. The last time I left this room, it was full of wine. And now you've somehow managed to break every jar. This is all we had. But it wasn't me, Gehazi said again. And then he realised it didn't really matter. The wine was gone. That's what mattered. And his sister's wedding was ruined. Another minute, and another head popped round the corner. Gehazi cringed. Of all the people that was at the wedding, it had to be Aunt Agatha. What is going on in here? She demanded. And Gehazi and the servant both started talking at once. Aunt Agatha held up one hand to silence them. She looked at the mess and the boy and at the servant, and then she looked especially hard at the small purple footprints exiting the room. There's no need to explain, she said. You, she continued, pointing at the servant, need to clean this place up. And you, she went on, looking straight at Gehazi, need to be careful of the company you keep. Just then, one more head popped around the corner. Mary, my dear, Aunt Agatha sighed. There appears to have been a bit of an accident back here. It seems we've run out of wine. And now my sister's wedding is ruined, added Gehazi. wiping one eye with the back of his hand. Mary looked around the room, and then she put a hand on Aunt Agatha's shoulder. "I might just be able to help," she said calmly. "Or rather, my son might. I'll have a word with him. Leave it to me." And she slipped away. "Who is that?" asked Gehazi. "An old friend from Nazareth," said Aunt Agatha. "She's here with her son, Jesus." "Does he sell wine?" Gehazi wondered out loud. "No," answered his aunt. "He's a rabbi. Can't imagine how he'll be able to help. Bit of a mystery, actually. But then, I like a good mystery." And their eyes twinkled mischievously. "Now, let's get you cleaned up." When they emerged from the storage room, the servant had not yet returned to clear up the mess. And when Aunt Agatha saw him chatting excitedly with all the other servants, she shouted, "I thought I told you to clean up that room." "Sorry, very sorry," the servant apologised. "I was on my way to do it, and then another lady stopped me and told me to go and talk to her son. She said that he'd be able to find us some more wine." "That must have been your friend," said Gehazi to his aunt. "Exactly what I was thinking," she nodded. The twinkle was back in her eye. "And what did he tell you?" she asked the servant. "The man said we should pour water into these 6 stone jars." "Very curious," said Aunt Agatha. "And?" "So we did," answered the servant. "And?" said Aunt Agatha again. "And you can taste it for yourself," said another servant, dipping a cup into the jar and handing it to her. Aunt Agatha took a sip from the cup and her eyes opened wide. "What is it?" asked Gehazi. "It's wine, and not just any wine, probably the best wine I've ever tasted." "But how?" asked Gehazi. "How did Jesus do it?" "Who knows?" said Aunt Agatha. "And who cares? Your sister's wedding has been saved. That's all that matters." Then she dipped her cup back into the jar and had another drink. "And you boys had better start passing this around before I finish it all." Gehazi watched as the wine went round the room, and as each and every guest reacted as his aunt had. He went over to talk to his sister and her husband, but was stopped by the master of the banquet. To Gehazi's surprise, the man started shaking his new brother-in-law by the hand. "Sir," the man said, "most hosts serve the best wine first, but you have saved the best till last." And then Gehazi heard a scream from the other side of the hall. "Oh no," he thought. "I forgot to warn Aunt Agatha about the Uncle Judah melonhead." He raced across the room, and that's when he saw it. The scream had not come from Aunt Agatha at all. It had come from his cousin Shem. His aunt had a tight grip on the boy's ear and was dragging him towards the storage room. "Please, Aunt, let go," he pleaded. "It was only a bit of fun." "And I have a bit of fun for you," she answered, "helping to clear up the mess you made." Cuz, he called to Gehazi. "Give me a hand here." "Sorry," Gehazi grinned. "Got to go. I think I hear my mum calling." Hope you enjoyed that story. Take care.